Hello and happy Fridays. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for joining us. This is Fridays with Brandon, and this is Fluke Fridays, episode number 78. And this is a little bit different video than we normally do. Obviously, you can see we have a special guest online. We're going to be doing an interview with a product that Mike has actually invented, or his company brought to market himself. And I think it's a way that might give you guys to get might allow you guys to get more out of some Fluke tools that you might already own, or if you're looking at certain Fluke tools, specifically the 805 or the 805FC vibration meter, it might give you more out of the tool than what you currently are getting. So, Mike, thank you for joining us today, and glad to have you on the channel.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it.
So, tell us a little bit about who you are, what your company is, how you even got involved with the 805, and what made you think to develop a software partner to get more out of it for our customers.
Yeah, that's a question I like to be able to answer because we've had a long affiliation with, as a manufacturer's rep, a high touch rep, for over 10 years that I was involved with working with Fluke until the high touch rep function disappeared. At that point, Fox River Systems became a distributor. But during the tenure as manufacturer's rep, we were there at the onset of the Fluke 805, followed by the 805FC, and were engaged with many a customer conversation and demonstration about the functionality of the 805. And we had, even ahead of the time that Fluke introduced the 805, our company had a deep experience around sound and vibration, testing in R&D environments, as well as in operational, manufacturing kind of environments for quality control test kind of functions. And so when the Fluke product came along, we already had a perspective on how such a tool might be used by customers, even perhaps different and more expansive than Fluke maybe had in mind when it introduced the product. And so it was really through our engagement with customers and talking to them about what they would want to test and how they would envision using it, and the kind of insight they were hoping to be able to get from such a meter, that led us to create the software product. But in advance of creating it, we actually had discussions with Fluke, thinking that maybe Fluke had its own eyes on a similar kind of a concept, a similar kind of a capability. But to our surprise, that was not in the plans back over 8 years ago when the first 805 was introduced. So we, with the full support of the mechanical team at that point, engaged in a development effort to create this product.
Excellent. So why don't you jump into it and kind of tell us a little bit about this product that you guys have that can complement the 805 and how it can help our customers get more out of the tool.
All right, great, thanks. And maybe I'll start with a couple of slides before getting into a product demonstration, and just to talk a little bit about why this Fluke 805 product is really a great product for addressing an important need. And that need that customers have is for increased equipment uptime. And an issue that many a customer has is that the skill set of the people that are part of their maintenance team, typically like a facilities maintenance technician, may not be super highly skilled in terms of being a vibration analyst, or, as we see with the picture here, an infrared thermographer. But infrared thermography and vibration testing are two really key kind of testing methodologies that address a wide range of equipment that's in our customers' facilities. And if somebody's looking to improve uptime, that's typically the question they're asking: what do we need to do? And part of the answer to that is that you need to find a way to be able to inspect equipment, to understand its condition, and then make repairs on that equipment as often as is necessary to maintain the level of condition of that equipment that you need for your success. So that's That's a starting point. And that means that we need perhaps a solution that enables us or helps automate some of that process of inspecting and evaluating what the condition is so that we know when we should be making repairs. And part of what, is a practice within industry is doing some sort of screening, and route-based screening is a common activity. So you see here this little graphic of taking your meter and making a measurement on different locations where bearings are on, in this picture, where pumps are located. And successfully making those measurements is a prerequisite to being able to understand the condition of equipment. And on the left, you see a screen showing what the Fluke 805 meter is capturing, the metrics that it does a great job of capturing. A metric called crest factor plus, which is an indicator of bearing health, an overall vibration value, and a temperature. That's an interesting view, but what we show on the right is a window that's showing how this information can be presented in a way that makes it more actionable and more easy to interpret, especially when we're talking about looking at a lot of equipment. What you're seeing in that little screen is a collection of, looks like 7 assets named fan 1, fan 4, and so on. And they're color coded, and that color code is an indicator of the machine health based on the most recent measurement. So quickly, without a lot of work, after making measurements, we have a way of providing feedback about equipment health. This is showing another representation of it. Key question that people who have a lot of equipment assets are interested in understanding is, which are the bad actor machines? And this is showing a representation of the Explorer 805 software with a collection of machines that are color coded red to indicate that those are the worst condition machines. And you can see below it some yellow and then some green. So the software actually has provided a prioritized or a ranked view of equipment based on its status or its health. So that immediate visibility has been something that somebody's interested, or that we found that customers were very interested in understanding.
So can I stop you for a second, Mike? I'm curious. Go back that picture before.
Sure.
So how are you ranking good to bad? Is that based on crest factor, temperature, overall, all three?
Great question. We only have really a means of assessing that based on the choice that a user makes to describe their machine as one of the 37 supported machine types. In other words, not selecting other. Because with every one of the machine categories, there is an acceptable range of vibration levels.
Based on overall vibration, so not looking at crest factor then.
That's correct.
Okay.
And so the color coding is in fact based on whichever is worse of the two metrics of crest factor and overall vibration. So if we had a very, very high crest factor value, that might be the thing that causes a machine to show up on the bad actor list. Or if we had an excessively high overall vibration compared to what the allowable levels of vibration are, that could also land a machine on that list, high on the bad actor list.
Which could be good because from what I understand from the crest factor, even if you were to select the wrong machine category, if your bearings are going bad, crest factor should catch it, even if you have the wrong machine selected. So that was a good thing.
Exactly. Temperature, unfortunately, there is no good or bad level indicator that is within the meter, and we've not implemented anything within our software, at least not yet, that would be useful for grading a machine based on temperature.
Very good.
So besides that, then it gets to, well, how easy is it to set up a machine? And this was one of the big reasons why we got into the development of the software. We started with understanding that the Fluke meter itself has a virtual keyboard that people were having to manually enter in the name of a machine. So even if you didn't have any software and you intended never to use any software, if your goal was to be able to make measurements on a machine on a periodic basis, then it would be a best practice to go and enter the name of the machine. In other words, create a setup for your machine within the meter, describing the name of the machine and naming each of the measurement locations, like motor drive end, motor not drive end, pump drive end, pump not drive end. Those would be names you might use. And you can see on the screen here a series of different machines called pump-001, pump-002. And there are locations, measurement location names that have been defined on there. Motor OB for outboard, motor IB for motor inboard, and so on. That process, though, of using software to set up a machine is potentially magnitudes faster to be able to actually create all of the setups that you might have for the assets at your plant. So that was a point of frustration that we heard from customers, the idea that they'd have to enter into the meter directly the names of those machines. That was not something people were very happy about. Furthermore, if they didn't take Fluke's advice and make use of a lithium battery and they use some other style of battery, there's a reasonable chance that and an increased chance that there might be a database corruption at some point, because the meter might shut down in the middle of a saving operation, and that could corrupt the database, which would mean when the meter's turned on the next time that it would clear out the database to correct that problem, and the user would be required to re-enter the names of all of the machines and measurement locations by hand. So we wanted to get around that, and that was something that is one of the centerpiece features of the Explorer 805 software. Why don't we show what it looks like?
Absolutely. So as you transition over to that, it sounds like with this 805 Explorer software, you can create machines, a whole list of machines in Excel or in this software, I'm not sure, and then save them off the 805, import them in, and if anything were to happen to the 805, you didn't lose it. You can just re-import it in. Is that correct?
That's right. Everything is done within the Explorer 805 software. There's no use of Excel or any other application in order to create your database.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see a Microsoft Windows screen?
We can.
Okay, excellent. So you are actually seeing this right now with that's live, actually running with this meter attached to it via the USB cable that's provided with the meter. And it's currently displaying the data that's stored on this meter. I'm going to show you, though, how we in practice really make use of the app. So maybe best to do that, I'm going to first open up a database from one of our customers that has actual data in it from many measurements that were made. And I hit that button, we opened up the database, and we right now have a representation of their database with the view being set to display based on sorting by severity level. And so here you can see these machines that are color-coded, this orange color in this particular case. And let's take a look at that top machine, WBL dust fan. It has two measurement locations, and you can see from the color-coded push pins too that this second one is the one that's the reason why this particular machine landed on the bad actor list and ended up as being the most severe. And here you can see the presentation of the screen that you're seeing has three different areas to it. Overall vibration at the top, crest factor is the middle graph, and then a temperature trend graph on the bottom. And you can see the different dates that measurements were made. There's a plotting of that, and so every time a new measurement gets added to the database, it gets displayed. We have different ways of being able to present the data besides this. And an example would be if let me get back here to our main screen. And besides this, try to maximize it, hoping that improves the display a little bit. There's a tab here for graphical or tabular. If I click on tabular, it shows the same values, shows the measurement dates and what the values were on each of those dates. So it's just an alternate way of presenting the exact same information. And we can furthermore, if I go to the options, we can tell it that we want to display, in this case, the last n measurements, and it says the last 3. I could instead select display all measurements. And if I do that, you'll see that there's quite a few more measurements that have been made over time.
Okay.
Control over how the data is presented to us, how voluminous it is, how recent it is. Instead, if maybe we only care about measurements that were made during, for example, the last 12 months or so. So now this data is from 2019. So if I select that I only want to view measurements from the last year, the database will be empty because there were no new measurements made since then. So I'm gonna select it to just maybe choose to display the last 10 measurements so that we get a little bit more data on the screen.
Very good. Well, and one thing I noticed, because just for you viewers out there, I have never seen this software either until today. So, but one thing I noticed that this brings a lot of capability the 805 currently doesn't have is you can have multiple bearings on a single asset. I'm not so sure you can trend that in the 805 anyway. I think of it as a single bearing use for each one, whereas you're putting multiple bearings in a single asset and that asset gets called out even if it's just one bearing in the asset, which is pretty unique.
Yeah, what we've created with the software is a hierarchy that allows the person who's using the meter to make some interesting decisions. And one would be, how do they want to consider collections of their assets? Like all of the assets at a facility could be in a single database, for example. Or with Explore 805, it's possible to actually create multiple databases. And probably a best practice and a limitation of the software is that when it comes to being able to generate a report, like let's say we wanted to generate a report based on what we're seeing with this data, I can go here and on the ribbon you can see there's a generate button in this section that's called report, and I'm going to select bad actors PDF, and I'm going to hit the generate button, and it's going to go off, and if it does its thing, what it will do is come back here with a document that's PDF format that happens to just now be showing those machines that meet the criteria for what we call bad actors. And the user has control over that definition of what is a bad actor. So you can actually, do you see that PDF screen?
We can, yep.
You can see we can take and we can put that data, into a report document that could then be shared with somebody very easily, summarizing here based on the most recent measurement what each of the measurement locations, how good or bad they were.
Yep.
So here's one that's unsatisfactory.
Very good.
All right. I'd like to show quickly just the idea of how we might set up a database like this from scratch. And so I'm going to say I want to create a new database, and I'm going to give it a name. And now we have created a new database, and I'm using my mouse to select that we want to add a machine.
Hey, Mike, sorry, I had the screen kind of out of the way. Can you show where you click to create new database once more?
Right up here under database, if I click new database.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Fluke demo 2. And now I'm going to add a machine, and you can accept the default name or more typically people have asset names that they want to make use of. So you might say, hey, this is pump 1, and then there's the machine categories, and the choices are exactly the same categories that are on the Fluke 805 meter. So you'd pick the type of pump, in this case, that you want and what RPM range. And now we have pump 1 that we've created, and I'm going to add measurement locations on that pump, like the motor outboard bearing, the motor inboard bearing, the pump inboard bearing, and the pump outboard bearing. And now I've created all those locations. And in fact, I'm going to hit the save button here so that I can now also copy this and hit the paste button. Whoops, if it will let me.
So if any of you out there do not own an 805 and have not ever set up an asset with the touch buttons on the 805, you should be like, anybody that has done it should be crying right now. Anyone that hasn't doesn't understand how significant. I mean, that is incredible how fast that is. I don't know. Each single bearing would take 2 to 4 minutes probably is my guess for me to do it. So
no doubt.
And you're just copy and pasting pumps now too. So holy cow, amazing.
It's with new names, so you can change the name. So if you want to go and change the name anytime, you just click on properties and you can change the name. You're limited in terms of the name the same way that we are with the Fluke meter. So I think it's 15 characters for a measurement, for a machine name, and for a measurement location name.
Okay.
So now we've created our assets, and I can go back here, save my database. And now the next, probably most popular thing to do is we create a measurement route, for our machines. So we don't have any routes. I'm going to say we're going to create a new route, and you can see here's the list of equipment assets that are in the database. And we can select all of them or some portion of them. And you can actually even rearrange the order of these if you want to. And now we've created our pump route. So now we're done with creating the pump route, and we have a checklist that we can print out that could be carried alongside the meter to support a technician checking off that they've made measurements on all the different assets that they want, because there isn't an easy way in the Fluke meter without going and looking at if you saved a measurement, which is a very cumbersome process to know whether you actually did it. So this is a sort of out-of-band solution that allows using a piece of paper to be a checklist for you. And then the next thing we would do is go back to your main menu, and we'd actually upload our route to the meter. So we...
so after you take all your readings, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying before we even take the...
Got it.
Just
yes.
Database.
Yep.
I'm going to upload the pump route to the meter.
Yep. Okay, got it.
It's physically doing that right now. So the meter is got the database on it. Now I'm going to disconnect it.
Upload complete.
Upload's complete. And if I turn on my meter and I was to go, and the process now would be that I would have that list of assets, and I'd go to my first measurement location, and I'd hit the measurement button, and I'd press it onto the machine, and I'd make a measurement on the machine, and I'm hoping that I can do this just on my desk. It's waiting for sufficient pressure to be.
Yes, that's always the fun thing to do in a demo.
I didn't do a good measurement, so
before you hit measure again, show me the screen, or show the viewers the screen on what it looks like the first thing we're going to take a measurement on.
Oh, okay. So so first off, the user can decide the first thing they want to take a measurement on. It doesn't matter. So that's up to the user. The way that the meter looks is exactly the way the meter looks, even if they don't use the software. It looks the startup screen.
So you can just hit measure, and then when you're ready to save it to that asset.
That's right. What you'll notice, and I'll go in here into memory, and and view all setups. Can you see the
We
screen?
can very well by name.
And if I,
Yep. Oh,
so now you see, there's the
up a
pumps.
little
You're
more.
already
Yep, right there. All the pumps right there.
right. So when we make a measurement and you hit save, you'll save to an existing machine or existing setup, it's called, and you'll select pump 1, 2, 3, or 4 or whatever 790, and save the measurement to the proper bearing location name, and then you're done, and then you can move to the next one. So let's do it, and then I'll upload the data so you can see how easy it is. All right, so I'm going to hit the save button, and can you see the screen?
Yep, autosave. You save
I'm
existing
not going to
setup.
save to existing setup.
Okay. Name by
And
name.
name, I'll hit the button, the enter button.
Pump one.
And so I'll say pump 1. If I hit save though, it knows that there's multiple locations,
Okay.
right? So I have to hit the enter button,
Okay.
and it will show the location
Yep.
names.
All
And
four. All four bearing
I'll,
locations. I see that.
I'll just pick the first one and hit the save button. Okay. So that process, uh, that's all there is to it. And when you're done making all the measurements you want, you come back with the software turned on.
Oh, I'll switch over to the other screen. Here we go.
So this screen popped up that that knows what the name of the meter is, the serial number of the meter. It knows what database this meter was assigned to make measurements for and what the route was,
Mm-hmm.
because you can see the pump route. And there's some defaults that have been chosen, which are important for all the machines. There's also a checkbox here, import off-route machine measurements. So if somebody decided to, while they were making measurements, go and make a measurement on a machine that wasn't in the route, they could create a new machine on the meter, and they could store measurements to it, and they could click on this button, and it will add that machine to the database automatically.
Got it.
Right? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just hit the execute button, and you see here is the result. We have the blue icons tell us that there's no measurements have been made on that asset ever. The green tells us that the condition of this particular pump 1 is good, and we only have one location that we made a measurement on, the motor outboard bearing. And we can see what the values are. Both crest factor value looks like it's 0. If I go here, we can actually see crest factor 0.1, temperature 71 degrees, and the overall vibration on my desk is 0.034 inches per second. So my desk isn't rumbling too badly.
That's good. No bad bearings on the desk.
No, that's all there is to it.
Well,
So that gives that immediate visibility.
yeah, this is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, my takeaway would just be if there are customers out there that have 805s and don't feel like they're getting the most out of them, this software could really enhance them. You know, I can see how a place could go from using one 805 sometimes to, with this kind of program, needing multiple 805s. It's just a really robust system. I've been in the Fluke world for 12 years now, and I had not seen this. So I know there are people out there that are not aware of this particular software. But Mike, why don't you tell us, where can they find you? I will put your Fox River Systems webpage in the description below, but do you have any specifics about reaching out to you or having any questions about the software? Or how would they get it even, I guess?
So, well, a couple things that would be important. So one is the software is available for download from www.foxriversystems.com. And anybody who's interested in the software and evaluating it will need a license code, but there's a trial license code that I can furnish to people. And that allows them to check it out on their own time with their own assets. And if it looks like it's a good fit for you, it's available for sale as a licensed product, and we'd be happy to assist with getting you up and running. And included with the software is an online training that we do with every new user to help them with getting the most out of the software and with getting it configured to environment. And one of the reasons why that has some importance is that one of the chief problems that we solve with the software is the security of data. So with the Fluke 805 meter, your data is generally all stored in the meter. With the use of Explorer 805, your data is stored on your computer, or even better yet, on your backed up server that your like a network file share device that gets backed up by your IT organization to help preserve the integrity of your vibration screening program. So anyway, foxriversystems.com is the path to getting there, and you can reach me by phone at 630-365-4030.
Okay. And before I let you go, there was a couple other things that I thought of. I assume this can work in any country, not just the US?
The only language support that we have is with English, U.S. English, but we have this software on multiple continents already today. It is available for sale around the world.
Okay. So as long as they're okay with US English, then they can use it. And it's license based, so I assume one PC, you pay for it and it's on one PC, is that correct? And can it talk to multiple 805s?
So we have a license for the software and a license per device.
Okay.
The first when you buy though an initial license for Explorer 805, it comes with a device license. So if you have multiple devices, then we just add additional device licenses.
Okay, but it would reside on a single PC. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct. It is locked to a given PC that you choose.
Okay, excellent. That helps me. Okay, everybody. Again, Mike, thank you so much for your time. And you guys, thanks for sticking around. This has been a long episode, longer than normal, but I think this was super valuable. I learned a lot. I hope you guys learned a lot. If you like this, give us a thumbs up. If you want more videos with this kind of stuff, give me ideas. And if you've watched at least 3 videos, don't forget to hit subscribe. It really helps the channel and it costs you nothing. Thanks, guys, and have a great day.
And thank you, Brandon.
Take care.
Thanks.